say the best for last, I guess.
Did you have much relationship with Pete at all before you came on?
No, I would say a personal relationship. I would say no, but obviously throughout the years of being a student of the game, you coaching defensive backs, you're kind of crazy if you don't follow up on what Pete Carroll's doing and kind of followed him throughout his career, the later part, should I say, with my age, but definitely a sense of admiration for what he's done defensively as an organization, and then obviously as the DB group goes.
And what have you learned about him being around him now here?
Oh, he is who he is, and that's a true statement. You know, what you see is what you get. There's no facade. There's no, morale or all that kind of different stuff. It's, he is who he is, and that for that you respect him a ton.
Were there things that he taught that you were doing already in your career prior to that? Or?
Yeah, obviously there's always defensive back principles that I've believed in since I've been coaching the defensive backs that have carried over when I've gotten here, and a lot of them obviously are some of the things that Coach Carroll sees how it should be. So our stars aligning in that manner has been a great piece this spring, but looking to build on that as much as we can.
Task you to do with your defensive back too?
Well, one, obviously develop the defensive backs, as a whole. No matter who they are, if they're Pro Bowlers or undrafted rookies, as they come here, the goal is, by the time their time is done, they're better off, now than when they came in. I think that's the number one thing. And then also, too, just be myself. There's a reason I was brought here. We understand that. I understand that. And I look forward to, living up to that.
How different is your approach coaching a relatively inexperienced rookie like Tariq Woolen that hasn't played corner very long compared to, say, Coby Bryant, who started for 4 years at Cincinnati and was Jim Thorpe?
Yeah. I think that's an honest question. I think with me, everybody's different. Kind of like I just alluded to earlier. No matter their background, when they come here, the slate is clean. And I almost like to treat everybody as if they know nothing about football. I think when you left to assume stuff, you know what they say about that. So I try to treat these guys like they knew nothing and try to coach them from the ground up and kind of giving them the ABCs, the foundation of, defensive play, defensive back play, and then build from there, So I think those guys' skill sets and who they are as people, I have to, approach them differently, and a good reason to get the best up out of them. So it is different, but you can name, fill in the blank. Every guy is different,
How do you think your strengths are?
Say again?
What do you think your strengths are?
My name's Karl Scott.
That's
That's my strength. Who I am as a person, who I am to these guys, to these guys' family. I want to be able to be a guy who can lead by example. Obviously influencing these guys in a leadership position. But at the end of the day, I'm terrible at telling you who I am. I think I can show you better than I can tell you. And hopefully, too, as coaches, our resume is what we produce on the field. So you might have to ask me that in a year or two, and I probably can answer a lot better than that.
Speaking of that resume, you spent time in Alabama. A number of good defensive backs have come through into the NFL from there. Like, what did your time working with those guys kind of do to help prepare you to come coach in the NFL level and work with the guys up here?
Yeah, I think I was fortunate enough to be a part of, Alabama and Coach Saban's organization. I think what you learn is the great ones, no matter how talented they are, the driven ones want to be coached and want to be critiqued and want to be developed. So sometimes guys get in a position where, this guy's a Pro Bowler or a Hall of Famer. I got to, be hands off a little bit. He knows it all. But in my experience, it's been a complete opposite. Every great one that I've been around wants those coaching points, wants those golden nuggets, just to any edge that they can put themselves over the top from where they're already at. So I think, being at Alabama just kind of showed me, obviously, it's football. It's football. The field is the same. Besides the stands, they're all the same. Still play with 11 guys. So it's not a big difference.
Karl, is there something in your coaching background, whether it was like a scheme that you taught or a technique that Pete really wants you to incorporate here?
I wouldn't say just one thing. I think it's the overall process of blending what I've done and obviously what he's done here in the past too, along with Clint Hurt, kind of getting together in the lab and kind of coming together with a product that we all are proud of and know what we're looking for, and then being able to identify it on the field once we see it.
The way Clint and Pete have talked about, sounds like obviously you and Sean will be working really closely together. Just what's that coaching relationship like so far?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. I think the whole defensive staff as a whole, we work together. When we go into the defensive staff room, that's kind of like the think tank, if you want to say, and we kind of formulate, a plan of strategy and kind of attack it from there. But as far as me and Sean, it's been great. He's a student of the game, as well as myself too, being a student of the game. Being able to bounce things off of him, he's been able to bounce things off of me, compare things he's done, and vice versa. So it's been a great couple of months so far, kind of getting back into the flow of learning something new per se, or refreshing yourself on something you've done in the past that's maybe been in the closet for a little bit that somebody else refreshes you. So from Coach Carroll, Coach Hurt, Clint Hurt, and then Sean Desai, it's been a pleasure being able to work with those guys.
How much of that do you still have to figure out? I know you obviously don't know exactly who's going to be playing every spot, but in terms of what you want to do defensively, how much do you know already? How much is still left to be figured out?
I think the hay pretty much is in the barn as far as what we want to do. I think you're always fine-tuning and looking for ways to improve. I think that's the beauty of Coach Carroll. He's always searching for improvements, always asking you to back up, your reasoning. Why do you think that way? How are you going to get them to do that? And it's not to challenge you per se. It's more so to have conviction in your beliefs and know what you're talking about in order to get the guys to do exactly what you want them to do.
With Tariq in particular, there's sort of a perception he's raw just because he only played the position a couple years. What have you sort of seen out of him so far out of here?
Yeah, in my mind, to be honest with you, every rookie is raw, because obviously this game, speed-wise, age-wise, is a lot different than the game they're coming from. But as far as Tariq, man, he's one thing I will say about him, he's open, eager to learn, attentive. He wants what you have to give him. I think even if he was coming out as the Thorpe Award winner, he would still approach the game the same way of give me something, how can I improve my game, how can I develop? The beauty of it is, there's a reason they call us coach. And if they were all Pro Bowlers or all, Hall of Fame guys as they come in here, I probably wouldn't be standing here talking to you guys. So I take that challenge, and I love that challenge. And again, trying to see Tariq, gradually grow and improve and be better than he was when he came in here.
What's your first about Coby?
Say it again.
And what have you learned about Coby?
Coby's a mature kid, very business-like approach, very cerebral. He's a thinker. In a good way. Sometimes you get guys who are thinkers and, they turn into blinkers where they're not going anywhere but just blinking. That's not him. He's a guy who can take what he's learned in the classroom and apply it on the practice field. That as a coach you appreciate a ton. He's still understanding his game and finding out his game. And I think every day that he comes out here, he's shown to improve and take, those nuggets that he might have missed the day before and be able to correct those things, the day after. So, you're pretty pleased with that aspect. And then, most importantly, he comes out here and competes. He's a competitor. Obviously, his name is Coby Bryant. So, there's all those, Mamba comparisons or whatnot. But as far as his mentality, he's straightforward. He's ready to get to work. And don't let his quietness, I think, fool you sometimes because he means business.
With Woolen, what area does he have the most room to grow?
I would say just football intelligence of knowing situationally what's going on around him, and it's not just him, that's everybody. Trying to teach those guys the game. I think a lot of times we get lost in athletes and guys just playing football instead of learning the nuances of the game, and kind of helping yourself out, especially at the defensive back position. When you play DB, obviously you're at a disadvantage from the jump because that guy you lined up on knows where he's going, and you don't. So anything that you could do to kind of give yourself a clue or idea of what he might be doing and then be able to respond to what you see, I think those are the things that he is going to have to pick up as we go. But I've handled way worse problems before, if you want to call them problems. So like I said from the jump, he's a guy who's intrigued and he looks forward, what challenge do you have for me today? Or even identifying those challenges and being able to attack those.
How difficult is your job? I mean, even compared to college football, the rules of NFL football are completely against the guys you coach.
Yeah.
You basically have one hand tied behind your back.
Oh yeah. Well, that's been that way for a long time. As they say, defense, they win championships, but sometimes they don't sell tickets. They try to appease the rules sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's my job to figure out the rules and find out the best way we can maximize our talent within those rules. It's funny you mentioned that. Coaching DBs, my wife, God bless her heart, she's a sweet girl, obviously puts up with me, but, she knows nothing about football, and she'll be the first to tell you that. But what she does know is, when a DB screws up, and that's just part of the nature of the position. We know in the defensive back room a defensive lineman might be able to miss a gap, miscontain, a backer might miss a fit, but for the secondary you have no mess ups or redos. Your mistakes ends up in explosives. So it's just the nature of the beast, and we try to take that for what it is, and we're not shying away from it, but how can we compete at the highest level, because everybody else has the same rules we have too as well.
Too high coverages, do you think that a slot cornerback benefits more from having a safety or an outside cornerback background, or does that depend on other factors?
Well, with the slot corner, all those guys have a background in something else besides slot corner. Nickel.
Is there do you think that there's a benefit to having that safety background or playing outside corner?
Well, I'll say this. It's always been my belief that as far as the two positions, safety and corner, right? Corner, in my mind, and through the schemes, you name them, has always been harder to do, easier to learn. Whereas safety is, harder to learn because of the communication and other people relying on you, but a little bit easier job description-wise than the corner, So I guess both of those places where you come from, a nickel coming from corner, he can always rely on his corner, experience to help him out in the slot, period. Same thing with the safety. Safety can always, transfer back to his experiences playing in the deep part of the field to help him playing in the slot, So it's kind of pick your poison, but both of those positions, as they tie from them, should be able to help him, fit into the bigger picture of 11 guys,
You guys aren't challenging the balls right now in the air, but what have you thought of? What have you thought of Coby Bryant's ball skills?
Yeah, it's you mentioned that it's a sore subject as a DB coach, and we can't really challenge obviously because of the rules or whatnot. But in that time too is obviously giving us an opportunity to get us better with our feet and being in the right position. Because obviously you can't make a play on the ball if you're not in position to play the ball. So kind of put a point of emphasis on that. But you kind of see Coby's ball skills when we go to individual. And ball skills are kind of like ball judgment. It's kind of like a knack trait that you can build, but it's judgment, and he has that. You kind of see he makes the hard catches look easy, look effortless, and that's a true tell of a guy who has ball skills. Where they're not looking awkward to go catch it. They don't look like they have two hands like a clock to go catch the ball. Those are things that you like to see from those guys, and he shows it naturally. But no matter how many bad balls I throw him in Indy, he's able to track them down. So that's a sign of a guy who has good ball skills.
Is it almost going to feel like you're unleashing him when you get to camp and all bets are off and you guys can start to do that?
Well, yeah, all these guys should be foaming at the mouth to get their hands on the ball. We talk about the philosophy of this program. It's all about the ball. So I think those guys, when we talk about it in the meeting rooms, I'm kind of like that bad parent or whatnot who won't let them do something that they know they can do, But when the pads do, when training camp comes back around, you look eager to see the guys who say, I would make a play on that ball. Now you have that opportunity. But, again, it's all about putting themselves in position to be able to play the ball before they can do anything else.
Does that mean less trash talk from the offense now that you guys can make plays on the ball?
That's up to us. That's up to us. We decide that, I think. But it's always a good competition when you get out here, even with us not being able to touch balls or whatnot, DBs and receivers. I think, having this set of receivers here kind of helps us, having one of the better groups that you're going against and seeing these guys every day only makes you better. So we control the trash talking about what we do, and if they're trash talking, that means we allow them to do something.
Does Deshaun Shedd look like he could still play out there?
Oh, always. Deshaun Shedd is the first one to be the demonstrator, and that's not by my choosing. He wants to jump out there and show them, man. So he has a bright future ahead of him, and you can kind of tell by how he naturally is involved, and the guys flock to him and listen to him, and his words mean something. So pretty glad to have him on our side.
Jamal's kind of got a rep as like a more traditional box safety, Quandre, post safety guy. When you do this split safety stuff, how do they have to be interchangeable?
Yeah. Obviously, you'll like guys to be interchangeable, to do the same things. Obviously, no matter what part of the field you're talking about, some guys are stronger, some guys are weaker. point being in their game or whatnot. But I think with those two, we can get done what we want to get done, because at the end of the day, both of those guys are true football players. So where a guy might excel or be better in this position, offenses nowadays can dictate where they want you. So if he's great in that position and only that position, offense can dictate to get you out of that position. So that's where we kind of want to stay away from being able to pinpoint exactly where 6 is or where 33 is and really make it hard on quarterbacks after the ball is snapped.
Could that help Jamal as a blitzer? The idea of offenses, quarterbacks not knowing what he's doing, where he's going to be?
Oh yeah, I think so. Just in pure, stepping out on the field, if every time this guy's in this position, he's doing this, well, it makes it easy for that opponent to say, okay, he's here, we're doing this. Whereas, okay, if he's in this position, now he's going to the half, now he's blitzing, now he's playing curl flat, now the multiples, occur, and now it's the guessing game on them. Kind of taking the chalk back and having the chalk last to dictate, what they're doing instead of, them dictating what we're doing.
To keep offenses on their toes like that, does that require guys moving around a lot before the snap and even as the snap?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say moving around a lot, because you don't need necessarily a lot. It's just, if you know the nuances of what, offenses are looking for, that can help you as a player disguise and have a little bit of control in what you're disguising, because at the end of the day, you're trying to disguise to fool them, not yourself. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like organized chaos, if you want to say that. But there's a rhyme and reason what they're doing, why they're doing it for, and they know that. And that's part of the teaching as they get in here. From phase 1 up to now, they've been taught that way of, what am I doing? How do I do it, and why is it important that I do that? Those 3 things, if those guys can understand those 3 things, then we've done something as coaches. Now it's on them to go out and execute.
How much more importance does that make, sort of their communication on the field, pre-snap and stuff like that?
Oh, huge. I think whether they're disguising or not, safeties in this defense are the quarterbacks in the secondary, so that fits right into their category of who they are as leader and men and being able to influence others. That safety position, those are the characteristics that you want in your safeties, where, you're getting other guys looking behind them to say what's going on, give me some confirmation, give me some comfort. Those guys, by all means, will assure the guys in front of them know what they're doing.
What kind of spring did Artie Burns have?
Artie Burns, coming into the program here, obviously the first time being, in Seattle and being part of this program is new for everybody. But I thought Artie took ownership of, wanting to get out here and having some recall from the system before. And obviously, too, being, different places of being able to apply what he's done in the past in order to help him now. And then not only that, but helping out other guys. You talk about the 2 rookies or whatnot, being able to help those guys out and kind of encourage those guys or get on those guys when they need to and kind of help them, because he's seen it before and he knows what this league's about, and kind of helping those younger guys learn, on the run without having foolproof evidence in front of them at the time. So Artie's been a pleasant addition to the room, and I'm happy to have him.
Anything else?
Where'd you get thinkers turn into blinkers? Where'd you come up with that?
That's a good question. Yeah, the camera's still on, but I have, obviously evaluating players or whatnot, you see a lot of different things and you come across a lot of different people or whatnot. But, one thing that's prevalent is, if you're thinking too much, if your mind is moving too fast, and usually your feet are not moving as fast as that. So, you get guys that are thinking, just picture it in your head, the guys who think and stay there and kind of start to blink. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? That's not very good on the football field as things are flying around you. So just to me, I just called it what it is,